I remember staring at the ceiling at 3 a.m., thinking, this is it. This is the floor. The business I had poured my life, my savings, and every ounce of my soul into had just imploded. The shame was a physical weight, just crushing me into the mattress. It honestly felt like the end, a final, undeniable verdict on my worth. But what if I told you that moment of complete defeat wasn't an ending? What if it was the beginning of my greatest strength? What if you could learn the one critical mindset that doesn't just help you survive rock bottom, but teaches you how to turn its unforgiving concrete into the foundation for a skyscraper? We've all heard those incredible comeback stories, but we often treat them like fairy tales, right? Like they're miracles reserved for a chosen few. The truth is, there's a predictable pattern, a learnable psychology, a shared mindset that unites them all. It's the mindset that takes the broken pieces of a life and rebuilds them into something stronger, more beautiful than before. It's a mindset that turns your lowest point, your most profound failure, into your most powerful and defining asset. This isn't magic. It's a superpower. And today, we're going to dissect it, understand it, and learn how to wield it. What rock bottom really is. Before we can build, we have to get real about the ground we're standing on. What is rock bottom anyway? It's so much more than a bad day or a tough week. It's when the story you've been telling yourself about your life, who you are, where you're going, completely shatters. The job is gone. The relationship is over. The money's out. The diagnosis arrives. The dream dies. And in its place, there's just this deafening silence, filled with the echoes of failure and that chilling voice of shame. It's a feeling of profound isolation, this belief that you are uniquely and permanently broken. You look around, and it seems like the whole world is still moving, still living, while you're just trapped in the rubble of what used to be. It's debilitating. You feel powerless, your self-worth is shot, and the idea of things ever changing seems impossible. This is a universal human experience, a chapter in countless stories, no matter how famous or successful someone is. Think about Robert Downey Jr. in the 90s. He was one of the most promising actors of his generation. But his life just spiraled out of control. His story became this public spectacle of addiction, arrests, and bizarre behavior. In one infamous incident, he wandered into a neighbor's house and passed out in their kid's bed. He lost his career, his family, his freedom. He even served time in a state prison. The industry that built him up wrote him off as uninsurable, a liability, a sad story. By every public and private measure, he was at rock bottom. The verdict was in. His career was over. It feels like a pit, doesn't it? A hole so deep you can't see the sky. But here's the fundamental truth that changes everything. Rock bottom is the most solid ground you will ever stand on. It's the one place where you have nothing left to lose. It's the point where all the illusions, all the pretenses, all the things you were clinging to out of fear have been stripped away. And from that place of stark, terrifying clarity, you can begin to build. But how? How do you go from that dark place to literally becoming Iron Man? From an uninsurable outcast to one of the highest paid and most respected actors in the world? It's not one giant leap. It's a process. It's a series of deliberate mental shifts that all start with one radical, difficult, and non-negotiable choice. This is where the journey to your superpower really begins. The first step out of the abyss is the one we resist the most. It's called radical acceptance. Now, this isn't about surrender. It's not about liking your circumstances or saying what happened was okay. It's about stopping the war with reality. It's about looking at the full, unvarnished, brutal truth of your situation and just saying, this is where I am. When you're at rock bottom, your mind is a battlefield. You're fighting the past, wishing you could undo your mistakes. You're fighting the present, furious that this is your reality. You're drowning in what ifs, should haves, and it's not fairs. This fight eats up every ounce of your energy, leaving nothing left to build a way out. Radical acceptance is just laying down your weapons. Oprah Winfrey is a master of this. She rose from a childhood of unbelievable poverty, abuse, and discrimination to become one of the most influential people in history. She didn't get there by pretending her past didn't happen. She got there by accepting the facts of her life, not as a life sentence, but as a starting point. She famously said, "Turn your wounds into wisdom." You can't turn a wound into wisdom until you first accept that you're wounded. Another one of her powerful ideas is challenges are gifts that force us to search for a new center of gravity. Don't fight them, just find a new way to stand. Fighting reality is like trying to swim directly against a riptide. You'll just exhaust yourself and drown. Radical acceptance is acknowledging the riptide, letting go of the struggle, and letting it carry you parallel to the shore until you can safely swim back to land. It's a strategic stop to the struggle. It's about taking ownership, because as Oprah also says, you can't keep blaming somebody else for your dysfunction. Life is really about moving on. So, how do you actually practice this? It starts with what I call the mirror test. Find a quiet moment, stand in front of a mirror, look yourself in the eye, and out loud state the objective facts of your situation. No emotion, no judgment, no story, just the raw data. I lost my job, my business failed, I'm in debt, this relationship is over, I have a health problem I have to face. Say it until the emotional punch starts to fade. Say it until it's no longer this terrifying monster in the closet, but just a set of circumstances on the table in front of you. This isn't self-pity, it's inventory. You can't chart a course to a new place until you know your precise starting coordinates. Radical acceptance is drawing that "you are here" dot on your life's map. It's painful, it's humbling, but it is the single most powerful thing you can do at rock bottom, because it stops the energy drain and frees you up for the next crucial step, rewriting the story of what that dot on the map actually means. The first step out of the abyss is the one we resist the most. It's called radical acceptance. Now, this isn't about surrender. It's not about liking your circumstances or saying what happened was okay. It's about stopping the war with reality. It's about looking at the full, unvarnished, brutal truth of your situation and just saying, this is where I am. When you're at rock bottom, your mind is a battlefield. You're fighting the past, wishing you could undo your mistakes. You're fighting the present, furious that this is your reality. You're drowning in what ifs, should haves, and it's not fairs. This fight eats up every ounce of your energy, leaving nothing left to build a way out. Radical acceptance is just laying down your weapons. Oprah Winfrey is a master of this. She rose from a childhood of unbelievable poverty, abuse, and discrimination to become one of the most influential people in history. She didn't get there by pretending her past didn't happen. She got there by accepting the facts of her life, not as a life sentence, but as a starting point. She famously said, "Turn your wounds into wisdom." You can't turn a wound into wisdom until you first accept that you're wounded. Another one of her powerful ideas is challenges are gifts that force us to search for a new center of gravity. Don't fight them, just find a new way to stand. Fighting reality is like trying to swim directly against a riptide. You'll just exhaust yourself and drown. Radical acceptance is acknowledging the riptide, letting go of the struggle, and letting it carry you parallel to the shore until you can safely swim back to land. It's a strategic stop to the struggle. It's about taking ownership, because as Oprah also says, you can't keep blaming somebody else for your dysfunction. Life is really about moving on. So, how do you actually practice this? It starts with what I call the mirror test. Find a quiet moment, stand in front of a mirror, look yourself in the eye, and out loud state the objective facts of your situation. No emotion, no judgment, no story, just the raw data. I lost my job, my business failed, I'm in debt, this relationship is over, I have a health problem I have to face. Say it until the emotional punch starts to fade. Say it until it's no longer this terrifying monster in the closet, but just a set of circumstances on the table in front of you. This isn't self-pity, it's inventory. You can't chart a course to a new place until you know your precise starting coordinates. Radical acceptance is drawing that "you are here" dot on your life's map. It's painful, it's humbling, but it is the single most powerful thing you can do at rock bottom, because it stops the energy drain and frees you up for the next crucial step, rewriting the story of what that dot on the map actually means. Once you've accepted the facts, the next battle is over the meaning you give those facts. At rock bottom, we tell ourselves a devastating story. It usually goes something like this: I failed, therefore I am a failure. I was rejected, so I am unworthy. I'm broke, so I am worthless. We take the event and wrap our whole identity in it. The second step is to consciously and deliberately rewrite that story. This is the core of what psychologists call post-traumatic growth. It's a concept from the 90s where researchers found that while some people get PTSD after a crisis, others experience profound positive psychological change. They don't just bounce back, they grow beyond where they were before. They find a greater appreciation for life, build stronger relationships, develop a deeper inner strength, and see new possibilities they couldn't see before. It's not about being resilient, it's about being transformed. Nobody embodies this better than J.K. Rowling. Before she created Harry Potter, her own world was falling apart. She was, in her own words, the biggest failure I knew. Jobless, recently divorced, raising a daughter on government assistance, all while battling depression. She sent her manuscript for Harry Potter to 12 different publishers, and every single one rejected it. The story was clear. She was a failed writer with a book nobody wanted. But she chose to rewrite it. Her story wasn't, I am a failure. It was, I am a person who has experienced failure. And in that small shift lies all the power. In a Harvard speech, she talked about the benefits of failure. She said, failure meant a stripping away of the inessential. I stopped pretending to myself that I was anything other than what I was, and began to direct all my energy into finishing the only work that mattered to me. Her rock bottom wasn't a verdict, it was a liberation. It gave her the freedom to chase her real passion without fear because she'd already lost everything else. This is the mindset in action. It's finding the gift in the hardship. It's seeing the setback not as a wall, but as a detour. A great way to think about this comes from the Japanese art of kintsugi. When a piece of pottery breaks, they don't just toss it. They piece it back together, and instead of hiding the cracks, they highlight them with gold lacquer. The philosophy is that the piece is more beautiful because it was broken. The cracks aren't flaws to be hidden. They're a celebrated part of its history, a testament to its resilience. Your setbacks, your failures, your scars, those are your golden seams. They tell the story of your resilience. They're what make your story unique and powerful. So here's your action step for this pillar, the Kintsugi journal exercise. Take a piece of paper. On one side, write down the old story, the narrative of shame. My business failed because I wasn't good enough. I lost everything, and now I'm a failure. Get it all out, all the negative self-talk. Now flip the paper over. On this side, you're going to write the Kintsugi story. Frame the same events through this new lens of growth. For example, my first business was an intense growth, real-world MBA in what doesn't work. Living through that failure stripped away my fear of it. It taught me humility and forced me to become more resilient than I ever knew I could be. This isn't a verdict. It's clearing the path so I can build something smarter and stronger. You're not lying to yourself. You're just changing your perspective. You're finding the wisdom in the wound, the gold in the cracks. You stop being the victim of your story and become the author of your comeback. We're about to dive into how to turn this new story into real action. But I want to pause and ask you something. In the comments, share one word that describes how you felt at your lowest point. And then right next to it, share one word for how you want to feel. Let's see that journey from struggle to strength, right there in the comments. It shows all of us that it's possible. Okay, so you've accepted where you are. You've rewritten the story. Now what? The thought of climbing out of that hole can feel completely overwhelming. The summit is so far away, it seems impossible. This is where a lot of people get stuck. They try to take a giant leap and just fall right back down. The third pillar is about forgetting the summit. It's about focusing on one single tiny step. It's about harnessing the incredible power of the micro win. When you're at rock bottom, your brain is often starved of dopamine, the chemical of motivation and reward. You feel tired, hopeless, and just blah. A micro win, a tiny, achievable goal that you set and then accomplish, gives you a little hit of dopamine. It's a signal to your brain that says, hey, that worked. We can move forward. Completing one small task creates the motivation for the next one. It builds a positive feedback loop, giving you momentum, brick by brick. You can't build a house in a day, but you can lay one brick perfectly. There is no more powerful example of this than U.S. Army Major Scotty Smiley. In 2005, in Iraq, a suicide car bomb exploded in front of him. Shrapnel tore through his eyes, leaving him permanently blind and temporarily paralyzed. He woke up in a hospital a week later in total darkness. Everything he knew, his life as a West Point grad, an Army Ranger, a leader, was gone. That is the ultimate rock bottom. The idea of living a full life, let alone staying in the military, was unthinkable. He couldn't focus on that. His world had to shrink. A win wasn't clearing a building anymore. It was learning to get from his bed to the bathroom. Then it was learning to get dressed by himself. Then learning to use a cane to walk down a hall. Each one was a micro win, a single brick. He just kept laying those bricks. He learned new technology. He earned an MBA from Duke. He learned to skydive, climb mountains, and even completed a full Ironman triathlon, all after losing his sight. And then, in one of the most incredible displays of perseverance, Scotty Smiley returned to active duty, becoming the U.S. Army's first ever blind active duty officer. He even commanded a company. His journey wasn't one giant leap of courage. It was thousands of micro wins, thousands of individual bricks laid with painstaking effort, one after another, until he had built an entirely new life, one that was arguably more impactful than the one he had before. So here's your action step. Identify your one brick. Look at your life, right now, in this moment. Forget about next month or next year. What is the smallest possible productive action you can take in the next 10 minutes? It doesn't have to be life-changing. It just has to be forward motion. Could it be making your bed? It brings a small sense of order to the chaos. Could it be just putting on your workout clothes? Not even doing the workout, just putting on the clothes. Could it be opening your laptop and updating a single line on your resume? Could it be washing one dish in the sink? The goal is to set a target so small, it's almost impossible to fail. Then celebrate that win. Feel that tiny flicker of control. You're proving to yourself, on a neurological level, that you aren't powerless. Tomorrow, you lay another brick. And the day after that, another. This is how you build your way out. Not with a leap, but with relentless, microscopic progress. Rock bottom has a gravitational pull toward isolation. Shame makes us want to hide. We think no one could possibly understand, and we don't want to be a burden. So we pull away, which just reinforces the lie that we're all alone in this. The fourth step is to actively fight that pull. It's about understanding that connection is the antidote to despair. You have to build your support system. This isn't about being an extrovert or having 100 friends. It's about finding the right kind of support. The research on post-traumatic growth always points to the importance of strong relationships. It's a non-negotiable part of recovery. Let's go back to Robert Downey Jr. His comeback wasn't a solo journey. His recovery was forged in connection. A key turning point was when his future wife, Susan, gave him an ultimatum: get clean for good or lose her. That was a pillar of support. When he was uninsurable, his friend Mel Gibson personally paid his insurance bond for a film, taking a huge risk on him when no one else would. His recovery was a mix of his wife, friends, therapy, and 12-step programs. He had to let people in. Another profound example is Elizabeth Smart. After being kidnapped and held captive for 9 months, she endured unimaginable trauma. Her family's unwavering support was her anchor. But then she turned her experience outward, becoming an advocate for other survivors. She built a new, larger support system by transforming her personal pain into a public mission, connecting with thousands who had similar stories. By giving support, she strengthened her own. Your support system can look like a few different things. There's the mentor, someone who's been where you are. There's the friend, the one who just listens without judgment. And there's the community, a group of people who share your specific struggle, a professional setback, grief, addiction. Finding people who get it is one of the most powerful ways to dissolve shame. So your action step here is to break the seal of isolation. Just pick one of these 3 things. First, you could identify one person in your life, a friend, a family member, who's a good listener. Send them a text. Not a giant essay, just a simple, hey, got time for a call this week? Could use a friendly ear. Second, if that feels like too much, find an online community, a subreddit for entrepreneurs who failed, a forum for people changing careers. You don't even have to post. Just read. Seeing other people's stories will instantly shatter the illusion that you're the only one. Third, reach out to a professional, a therapist, a coach. This isn't weakness, it's strength. It's like a world-class athlete hiring a trainer. You're serious about your recovery, so you're calling in an expert. The goal is simple: Send a signal to yourself and the universe that you're done trying to do this alone. Connection is the current that will pull you out of the lonely whirlpool of rock bottom. This final pillar is where it all comes together. This is where rock bottom transforms from a trauma into a genuine superpower. It's what I call the Phoenix Protocol, allowing the old you to burn away to make space for something truer and stronger. Rock bottom is a fire. It burns away your job title, your bank account, your relationship status. It burns away the life you thought you were supposed to have. It incinerates your ego, your pride, and all the things you were chasing for other people's approval. When the smoke clears, all that's left is you, standing in the ashes of a life that was, in many ways, not essential. This stripping away, like J.K. Rowling described, is a painful but priceless gift. It gives you a clarity that's almost impossible to find when things are going well. For the first time, maybe in your whole life, you're free to ask, without all the noise, what truly matters to me? Now that I have nothing left to lose, what do I actually want to build? This is where you redefine your purpose. Think of Nick Vujicic, born without arms or legs. As a child, he was bullied and fell into a deep depression, believing he had no future. At age 10, he tried to take his own life. That was his rock bottom. But through his family's love and the guidance of one janitor's words, "You're going to be a speaker," he discovered a spark. By sharing his deepest pain, he uncovered his greatest purpose. His limitation, the very thing that once made him feel broken, became his platform. Today, he speaks to millions, bringing hope, humor, and strength to people across the globe. As he says, miracles can come from broken pieces. Or Malala Yousafzai, a young girl in Pakistan who simply wanted to go to school. She spoke up. The Taliban tried to silence her with a bullet to the head, but they failed. That attack, designed to end her life, instead gave rise to her movement. It became the moment that magnified her voice. Today, she's not just a survivor. She's a Nobel Peace Prize winner, a global advocate, a living example of how the flame meant to destroy you can instead ignite you. That's the Phoenix Protocol. Taking the ashes of your old life and finding the seed of your new purpose. And so often, that purpose is rooted in service, in using your own pain to light the way for someone else. Here's your final action step, the 5 whys of purpose. Start with a question. What's one thing I feel pulled to do now? It could be small. Write, learn to cook, help others, go back to school, build something, speak, volunteer, rest. Then ask, 1, why is that important to me? 2, why is that important? 3, why again? 4, and again. 5, one more time. Each why peels back the layers until you reach the core truth, the value that has survived the fire. Example, 1, I want to start a podcast. 2, why? To share stories about getting through dark times. 3, why? Because those stories helped me feel less alone. 4, why? Because connection made the difference between despair and healing. 5, because no one should ever feel like they're suffering in silence. I want to be the voice I needed. Now you've got more than a hobby. You've got mission, a purpose born from pain, a reason born from ruin. This is the comeback story you've been writing all along. You've stood in the ashes. You've rewritten the meaning. You've taken one small step. You've reached out for connection. And now you rise with clarity, courage, and purpose. The world doesn't need the old version of you. It needs the you that was forged in the fire, the you with golden seams. The you who came back stronger, not in spite of the pain, but because of it. This is your Phoenix moment. Now go build what's next. So those are the 5 pillars, the mindset that turns rock bottom into a superpower. First, radical acceptance. Stop fighting reality and see where you truly are. Second, rewrite the narrative. Separate the event from your identity. You failed, but you are not a failure. Find the gold in the cracks. Third, the power of the micro win. Forget the leap. Just lay one brick at a time. Build that momentum. Fourth, build your support system. Break the isolation. Connection is the antidote. And fifth, redefine your purpose. Use the clarity of loss to find out what truly matters and build a new mission that is uniquely yours. Rock bottom is not the end. It's the forge. It's not a pit you're trapped in. It's a crucible, a place of burning, yes, but also of rebirth. It's designed to incinerate everything that isn't truly you, so that what's left, what survives the fire, is real, resilient, and remarkably strong. The shame? The failure, the despair, they aren't flaws. They're materials. They're not the wreckage of your story. They're the beginning of your origin story. The cracks in your soul, those are where the gold goes. Your scars are not your weakness. They are your signature. They're proof that you broke and rebuilt. Your story isn't over. It's just waiting for you to pick up the broken pieces and start painting them with gold. If this message hit home for you and you want to be part of a community committed to turning struggles into strengths, please hit that like button and subscribe for more. I want to leave you with one final question in the comments. Based on everything we talked about today, what is the first brick you are going to lay after watching this video? Let's declare our intentions. Let's hold each other accountable for that first crucial step. Thank you for watching. Now go build.